Hello everyone, we are in Tsarskoye Selo today, and you can recognize the Catherine Palace behind me. The Catherine Palace, famous for the amber room that attracts millions of tourists from all over the world. And it's hard to believe, but in summertime it's not possible to get in without a pre-arranged internet ticket or pre-arranged guided tour. So people sometimes queue up for hours along the garden lanes and not get after 4 or 5 hours of queuing up. But today we are not going to the Catherine Palace because Catherine Gardens are full of other beautiful attractions and we are going to see them. So for example, over here you can see the royal baths, and if you turn with your back to the palace, you can see the beautiful Hermitage Pavilion. And over there on your left, you can see the Cameron Galleries, Catherine the Great's personal promenade place. That's where we are heading now. So over here we are in the little Flemish garden of Catherine the Great. Behind it you can see the agate rooms and Catherine the Great's promenade gallery, the Cameron Gallery. So over here we want to get there, by the way, but unfortunately we don't know whether we will be allowed up or not, because a few weeks ago one of the teenagers bumped down a sculpture. You can see there are black sculptures between the columns, and since that moment we don't see many visitors up there. So we'll see if we can go in. So now let's go to the ponds and see a little bit more of the gardens. Catherine the Great liked landscaped gardens, and it was according to her order a landscaped garden was arranged in her favorite summer residence. On the bank of a man-made pond, you can see a grotto pavilion. In Catherine the Great's times, it was decorated with seashells inside. Nowadays, it is a small concert hall. Here on the bank of the pond, you can see several interesting pavilions and sites. So over here across the water, you can see the concert hall. It's located on an island, so you need a ferry to get there. On another island next to it, there is the Chesma column located, and the Chesma column is dedicated to the victories over Turkey in the Russo-Turkish Wars in the days of Catherine the Great. There is one more memorial dedicated to the victories of the Russian Navy, and that is the Turkish Pavilion that you can see further along the bank of the pond. We have come to the famous marble bridge, and from here you can see the Turkish bath pavilion closer. We are very lucky because the marble bridge now is open after the long-term restoration. It was closed until 2016 or 2017. We are now on a terrace decorated with sculptures depicting ancient Roman and Greek gods. And from this terrace you can see a beautiful view to part of the gardens, and then the pond and the concert hall pavilion over there on the island. Over here we are standing on the Oak Lane. It goes directly to the ramp and then to the agate rooms of Catherine the Great. Let's go. Do you see that ramp behind me? So that is the entrance to Catherine the Great's private quarters, called the agate rooms. You see, Catherine the Great was quite fat, and she didn't really like exercising. No walking, please, even though she loved the gardens. And so she didn't like the stairs. She thought that when she was walking up and down the staircases, she was losing her dignity. So ramps were a necessity in the residences where she lived. Now we can take the ramp and go up to the agate rooms. Here we are. We walked up the ramp and you can see the view to the Cameron Gallery over here. Well, you see the red ribbon. Unfortunately, no, we won't be able to take the promenade like Catherine the Great did because of that teenager who bumped her statue down. So behind me you can see the agate rooms. That's where Catherine the Great resided when she was staying in this residence for the summertime. In the days of Catherine the Great, she used, of course, these doors to enter her agate rooms. So now it is a museum, so we will need to use the doors that are located downstairs. So you can see that door. It leads to Zubov Pavilion that connects this area with the Grand Catherine Palace. Zubov was the young lover of Catherine the Great, and quite often courtiers joked that it was a love of a 60-year-old empress to a 20-year-old officer. But right now, here behind me, you can see one of the only two fountains that are here in the Catherine Park. Catherine Park is not exactly famous for fountains. There are only two. One of them is the fountain of Milkmaid, and the second one right in front of you in the middle of the private garden of Catherine the Great. So the gardens are huge and you need a whole day to walk around the gardens and see everything. We had but a couple of hours. The kids are tired and we have to go home. Kids, let's go! So you can see on the plan the gardens are enormous, and we saw just a little bit of that. So we came in here and then walked along the main facade of the palace, past the baths and up to the Cameron Gallery. And well, the Cameron Gallery unfortunately wasn't available, so we came up to the pond and walked along it. So we saw this concert hall pavilion on the island and the Chesma column. We walked to the marble bridge and then returned by the Oak Alley, Oak Lane to the ramp. Went up over here to the agate rooms, then down again to the private garden of Catherine the Great, and here we are now returning to the place where we entered.